Today I want to introduce you to the house of angles. This house is made up of lots of different angles and is used to show us that angles are all around us. When you look up and look around, there's so many different angles around you. But what is an angle? Well, let's use the wall to the left of the house and the roof to show you what an angle is. An angle is when two straight lines meet, and the place where they meet in the middle and the space between them is called the angle. So when two straight lines meet, they form an angle. But there's lots of different angles, and today we're going to recognise all these different types of angles, and we're going to use rules that we know to calculate the missing angles on a straight line. So by the end of today, we want to be able to spot at least 3 different things around our house that are showing these different angles, and that we'll be able to find the missing angle on a straight line using our angle rules. So let's think about our angle rules first. If we think of acute angles, there's a description we would say. We would say an acute angle is less than and more than Can you fill in the blanks? It's less than 90 degrees, yes, and more than 0 degrees, good. Now we've got a right angle. Now a right angle is a little different because we don't say a right angle is less than something and more than something. A right angle is just one size. It has to be one specific size. How many degrees is a right angle? Yes, it is 90 degrees. So it can't be 91 or 89. It has to be 90 degrees. Next, we've got an obtuse angle. Can anyone tell me what an obtuse angle is? Could you describe the size of it? Yes, it's less than 180 degrees, but more than 90 degrees. You probably see the pattern. We're going in order, aren't we? An acute, and then a right angle, and then an obtuse angle, and then what comes next? It could be a reflex angle, but there's something before that. You see, we have another angle that's a little bit like a right angle because we can't say it's less than something and more than something. It's an exact angle, and that's our straight line angle. And our straight line, does anyone know how many degrees are in a straight line? Yes, our straight line, there is 180 degrees. There will always be 180 degrees in a straight line, and if it's not exactly 180 degrees, well then we can't say it's a straight line. And I've got one more angle for you, one more rule, and that's our reflex angle. Someone's already said this. A reflex angle is less than 360 degrees because that's a full turn, but more than 180 degrees. Okay, so those are our 5 key rules about angles. And if you don't already know those rules off by heart, well then I think it would be a good idea that you learn them, but I'm sure you probably already know them because these are rules that you'll need lots and lots throughout the next couple of years, okay? So when I say acute, you're thinking less than 90, more than 0. You should be able to say them that quickly. But let's use the angles because here's the house and I'm going to point out some angles and I want you to tell me what kind of angle it is. Let's start at our door. Here's an angle here that I'm colouring in red. What would you say that angle is? Yes, that is a right angle. It's exactly 90 degrees. Now a top tip is when your angle has a little square in it instead of our usual circle or little bit of a circle like that, instead of that curve, when it's got a square, you know it's a right angle because a square has got 4 right angles in it. So it's the perfect thing to make sure that it's a right angle. Let's look at our chimney next. If you look here on our chimney, how would you describe that angle? Yes, we would say it's an acute angle because it's less than 90 degrees. It's not a right angle, but it is more than 0 degrees. Let me give you another one. What about the very top point of the roof? What kind of angle is that? Exactly, it's an obtuse angle because it is more than 90 degrees, but it is less than 180 degrees. If it was a straight line angle, it would go on like this, but it's less than that. Now, there's no reflex angles I can see, but we've looked at those couple, and I hope you can see now, I've only highlighted 3 angles, but in this house picture, there are so many angles, and you see angles are all around us. Think about clocks. I wonder if you've ever looked at the clock and thought that, well, it shows me angles. Here's clock number 1, here's clock number 2, clock number 3, and clock number 4. Can you tell me what this angle is in number 1? Exactly, it's a right angle. Number 2, yes, there's our reflex angle because it's more than 180 degrees, but it's less than a full turn. It's less than a full 360 degrees. What about clock 3 down here? Yes, that's our straight line, which means it's exactly 180 degrees, doesn't it? And then our final clock here is an acute angle. Good job. It's an acute angle because it's more than 0 degrees and less than 90 degrees. But let's look at this angle here that we can see on the clock. So it's at 6 o'clock and it's our straight line angle. Tonight at 6 o'clock, you look up at the clock and you see, look, there's a straight line. So we know that our straight line has got 180 degrees in it, don't we? But today we're going to think of it like this. If I knew one angle on my straight line, well then I want to work out my other angle. That's your task for today. I'm going to call this angle X. So I know the angle, the pink angle, we'll call it P. Angle P is 60 degrees, but angle X I don't know. But we know all together both of the angles are a straight line, so they must be 180 degrees. So I want you to have a think, how would we be able to work out what angle X is then? Exactly. If we take the full straight line angle and we take away this little section here, which is 60 degrees, we know that we'll be left with whatever size our angle X is, won't we? So what's 180 take away 60? Exactly, it's 120 degrees. So we can say that angle X equals 120 degrees. Now here's another example. This time, this is angle X and this is angle P. And we know angle P is 148 degrees. We know our total angle is 180. So angle X and angle P together equal 180 degrees. So to work out what angle X is, we're going to take 180 degrees and take away 148 degrees. Can you work out what that would be? What's 180 degrees? Take away 148 degrees. Perfect, it's 32 degrees. You'll not always get asked questions like that on a clock, but you're more likely to get a diagram that looks like this. So we can see here that our red angle is 23 degrees and we've got to work out what the blue angle is. Now we're going to use our same strategy as we were using before, aren't we? We know that together the blue and red angles equal 180 degrees. So to work out the blue angle, we simply take 180 degrees and take away the red angle, and that will leave us with the size of the blue angle. So who can tell me what the blue angle is going to equal? The blue angle is going to equal 157 degrees. Well done. And you'll see your page today. The first thing you have to do is I simply want you to get outside to find some objects that have these different angles in them. So I want you to walk around your house, so long as it's not pouring with rain. But even so, you could put your wellies on and head out. I want you to look for an object with an acute angle, an object with a right angle, and an object with an obtuse angle. If you can draw or write in what your object was, ideally draw it so I can see it, and then label the angle. And then the second part of this question is to estimate the size of the angle. So I want you to think of our angle rules. So if it's an acute angle, well then it's going to be between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. And if it looks like it's a little bit bigger than halfway between 0 and 90, well then it's going to be a little bit more than 45 degrees, isn't it? So I want you to use the rules and use your skill of estimation to estimate the size. But then the second question is to solve these problems where we have one angle in a straight line and we want to work out the other angle. And I have no doubt at all that you will all be absolutely wonderful at that because you were great at our examples, okay? So if you can complete those 2 questions today and upload those back to Seesaw, that would be great.